Hello, and welcome to another edition of the TimeFlies podcast. I'm your host, Dario. The Boston Celtics just took a commanding 3-0 lead over the Dallas Mavericks by beating them by the score of 106 to 99. Boston is up 3-0, and in the NBA Finals and NBA history, teams that are up 3-0 are 156 to 0 when they're leading up 3-0. So it looks like the Boston Celtics are going to win this series. A lot of different ways to go in my reaction. First and foremost, I should talk about Kristaps Porzingis. So before the game, it was announced that he was going to be ruled out because of some sort of, I don't even know what that injury is. The injury is a bunch of different ligaments and bones and parts and tendons that I can't even pronounce. But what I want to focus on with Kristaps is that, like, this is the thing with Kristaps, man. Ever since he tore his ACL with the Knicks, he's been an injury-prone player. And with him being 7'3", those type of players with that type of height and the way he plays, he's not your traditional old school back to the basket type of player. He's someone that is perimeter based, where he likes to put the ball on the floor and drive to the rim. And when you're 7'3" and you're not really built like a muscular guy, you're you're gonna take more hits than not. And with Kristaps, it just looks like his body is just not able to keep up for 82 games and going deep into the playoffs. For Boston, like they were able to get a win tonight, but with Kristaps being one of like the top three important players for the Celtics, this is what you get with Kristaps. You're kind of in no man's land with KP. You don't know how much you can rely on him because of his body and because of the wear and tear and because of the way he plays. And Boston was able to get a win tonight in Dallas, taking commanding 3-0 lead. So it looks like Kristaps isn't really needed for the rest of the series. But me personally, when they made the trade for KP, I wasn't really moved by it because I knew that he was going to be an integral part of the team. But with KP being an important part of the team, you're not really knowing what you're going to get from him. Not even just like production wise. I'm talking about just him being able to play. But now that I got that news out of the way, now let's talk about the actual game. This game was all over the place. I mean, the first half was fairly competitive, but then in the second half, Boston just came out gunning. They went up by 21 points. I think that was the highest lead that they had. But then in the fourth quarter, the Dallas Mavericks, they actually cut that 21 point lead, I think all the way down to one or two. That's the lowest that they cut it. But then Boston was able to get away. And the one thing with Boston, man, is like, yo, can you guys please not just take three-pointers? I get it. In the modern NBA, thanks to Steph Curry, has changed the way the game is played. The game is pretty much played on the perimeter now, and it's kind of like just two aspects of the game. You're shooting the ball from the perimeter and you're at the rim. The mid-range game is completely gone. I mean, Jaylen Brown had a good game tonight. Jaylen Brown, I believe, had 30 points. Yeah, ended the game with 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He converted 12 of his 22 field goal attempts from three-point land. He converted two of his nine three-point attempts. But Jaylen Brown from tonight's game, I saw that he was taking mid-range shots. And the one thing that annoys me with Tatum so much is the fact that he's just gotten rid of his mid-range game. Tatum is basically shooting threes or he's attacking the rim trying to get layups. I've rarely seen Jason Tatum try and get his points from the mid-range, where we've seen him in the past like develop his game and get the ball in the mid-post area or on the block, do a nice little fadeaway, do a nice little turnaround. But I don't know what happened with Tatum's game, man. Tatum's game is strictly perimeter based or it's at the rim. And this is the thing with Tatum. This is why the conversation with Tatum is very up in the air as far as like what kind of player he is. Is he a top five player? Is he a top three player? And like I said in the previous video, I don't necessarily think he's a top three player. He's definitely in the top five, but for me personally, I probably have him at number five. And the one thing that Tatum is missing is he needs to get back into incorporating his mid-range game. He can't be so reliant on that three-pointer and just attacking the rim. I do like to see my best player attacking the rim, letting the other team know that you're not scared of contact and being willing to go to the line and get some free points. But if the only other way you're getting your points is on the perimeter, then no, I don't want that for my best player. I want you to mix it up and I want you to not be so reliant on the three-point line. And just something else that I've noticed is just like how different the role players and just the Dallas Mavericks players in general play when they're at home rather than on the road. I never really understood that. Like I never really understood the drastic difference that you see from players when they're on the road and when they're home. And you can see by the way they're attacking the game how aggressive they're being. I never understood that. When I used to play, I was equally as aggressive if I was on the road rather than being home. And I guess I understand it because when you're home, everything is just a little bit more comfortable. You're just used to everything. And it's like stuff off of the court. You're just used to everything. You're used to how you're getting to the gym. You're used to like your naps. You're used to your bed. I mean, I get that, but I don't think that's gonna really have a huge difference in the way you play. If I'm on the road, I'm still gonna be as aggressive and I'm still gonna be trying to get my points and I'm still gonna be trying to make an impact the same way I would be as if I was home playing against a home crowd. And with the Boston Celtics, specifically going back to Jason Tatum, man, this was Jason Tatum's breakout game in game three, where he's not at home in front of the Boston crowd. He has his best game of the series, which is just weird. And the Boston Celtics in general, like I believe their record within the playoffs for the last few seasons from home and away, I believe is they're like 500. And I just don't understand that. That's just so weird. But Jason Tatum tonight, man, he had 31 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He converted 11 of his 26 field goal attempts, which equates to 42.3%. I mean, that could be a little better. From three-point land, he converted 4 of his 13 three-point field goal attempts, which equates to 30.8%. He converted all 5 of his free throw attempts. So Tatum, as far as numbers wise, as far as stats wise, this was definitely his best game, 31 points. But then when you break it down and you look at the numbers, 11 field goal made on 26 attempts, that could be a little better. 4 3-point field goal made out of 13 3-point field goal attempts, that could be a little better. But I mean, overall, the Boston Celtics, they're obviously in a really, really good spot, taking a 3-0 commanding lead over Dallas. Like, I'm I'm pretty confident in saying that this is a wrap. And obviously, the Boston Celtics, they have to close the series. The series is not over until Boston wins 4 games. So, of course, Dallas Mavericks could do the unthinkable and come down from 3-0 and maybe tie it up, or maybe they could force a game five or a game six. Obviously, I'm not a genie, so I don't know exactly what the future is going to hold. But if you're asking me point blank, period, what do I think? Do I think Dallas is going to get swept? Do I think Dallas is going to lose in five? Do I think Dallas is going to lose in six? I definitely don't see them coming back from 3-0, but I could see them getting a game. I could also see them getting two and Boston winning it in six. But if I were to put my money down, I think Boston is going to go for the sweep because they're just so close, man. They can taste it. Tatum and Brown, they've been on this, what, 9 year odyssey now of going to the Eastern Conference Finals slash NBA Finals and not having a ring. Prior to this season, the Boston Celtics went to the Eastern Conference Finals 6 out of the past 8 seasons. And this season, winning the Eastern Conference Finals against Indiana, which was a joke, which made them 7 out of the last 9 seasons going to the Eastern Conference Finals. So Tatum and Brown, man, they could smell it. They could taste it. They want that ring. And this leads me to one of my last points is in the previous video and in the previous episode that I put out, I talked about how Jaylen Brown is kind of the finals MVP right now. And the more I thought about it, and the more that I look back on games one and two, and then including tonight, I don't know, man. Drew Holiday is slowly but surely creeping up on that finals MVP ladder. Like tonight, he ended the game with 9 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, converting 4 of his 9 field goal attempts, converting 1 of his 3-point field goal attempts. So the field goal attempts was 4 of 9, which is 44.4%. 3-point was he converted 1 of his 3 3-point field goal attempts, which is 33.3%. But again, Drew Holiday, what you're really looking for, Drew, is the intangibles. You're looking at his defensive prowess. You're looking at his defensive intensity. And time again, you see Drew Holiday making these plays where on the offensive end, where Drew Holiday is attacking the rim and then he's kicking it out to Derek White. You're seeing Drew Holiday coming up with key rebounds, putting it back up. You're seeing Drew Holiday taking the defensive assignment on Kyrie, on Luka. Like, Luka, I guess, had a good game. He ended up fouling out with like 4 minutes left in the game, I believe. Luka had a good game statistically, ended the game with 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 11 of 27 from the field, which is 40.7%. 3-point land was 1 of 7, which is 14.3%. So that's not great. I mean, Luka had a good game, but Drew Holiday, for the most part, you're never gonna shut Luka down. You're never going to shut Kyrie down. But what Drew Holiday does that he might be the best still, even at his age, is that he's able to slow down the best offensive player on the opposing team, and he's just able to make it difficult. And I don't know if it's his strength. I don't know if it's his basketball IQ. I don't know if he has good hands. I can't really pinpoint what it is. It might be a mixture of everything I just said. But Drew Holiday, man, I don't know, man. The more and more that this series goes by, I think Drew Holiday might be my leading contender for Finals MVP. Tatum had a good game tonight. Like I said, it was his breakout game. Jaylen Brown had another good game. 30 points to Jason Tatum's 31 points. So this is Jaylen Brown's third good game in the series, where Jason Tatum only has one. So if depending on how game four goes, if Boston's able to close it out in four and Jaylen Brown has another good game, more than likely Jaylen Brown would probably be the Finals MVP. But again, I wouldn't sleep on Drew Holiday, man. Drew Holiday, you never know what he's going to do in game four. He might just completely erupt. He might go for 20, 25 points, and he might hold Luka Doncic to, I don't know, 25, 20 points on really bad field goal percentages. So we'll see what happens. I also want to give a nice little kudos to the role players for Boston. I mean, Xavier Tillman definitely gave him some good minutes. There were some times where he was put on an island with Luka Doncic, and he did his best to stay in front of him, just contesting the shot, and he did a pretty good job coming up with good rebounds. Sam Hauser, man, Sam Hauser sometimes was again put on an island with Luka Doncic, and Sam Hauser, like, he held his own. He was able to stay in front of him. Now, mind you, Luka is dealing with some sort of knee injury that he's been dealing with since the beginning of the playoffs. And in Clippers, he didn't look good. Against OKC, he looked a little better. Minnesota, he looked a little better. But now in the finals against Boston, like, I don't know, it's very up and down with him. And he's trying not to use that as an excuse. But my little Luka Doncic 2 second rant is, Luka, can you stop being such a bitch? Like, please stop complaining to the ref every single time you miss a layup or you miss a shot. Luka, like, you're a top three player in the league. Like, stop complaining to the refs. You don't need to do that every single time. Just play through it. We know you're a great player. We know you could get yours. And if you miss a shot or if you have a turnover, don't blame it on anybody else but yourself. Move on, move forward, and just keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, it looks like Jason Kidd is definitely gonna have a handful for game four. As far as adjustments, I'm trying to think in real time what he can do. I mean, tonight he did insert Tim Hardaway Jr. into the lineup, which I don't know if it's a little too late for that. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like Tim Hardaway Jr. should have been playing most of the playoffs. Like, Tim Hardaway Jr. was out of the rotation for a good amount of the playoffs, and I don't know exactly why. I don't know if it was off the court issues or if it was just matchups and something that Jason Kidd saw and the coaching staff saw that Tim Hardaway Jr. wasn't going to be able to provide. But the one thing about this series is when there were certain games in the series, like game one, Luka had a good game, I believe, but Kyrie didn't step up to the plate. In game two, Kyrie helped out Luka a little bit more, but then the other role players didn't really step up to the plate. So Tim Hardaway Jr., if anything else, you can say that he's definitely aggressive when he's trying to get his. He's definitely not scared of shooting the ball. I don't know if it's a little too late to insert Tim Hardaway Jr. into the lineup and Jason Kidd. I'm not sure exactly what he does, which makes me believe that I think Boston is going to take this in four. And if the series ends in four, it just sucks, man, because I thought Dallas was going to win in six. And the reason why I had Dallas in six is because until I see Tatum and Brown raise the Larry O'Brien trophy, I'm not going to trust them. And it looks like it still hasn't happened, but it looks like they're going to be able to hold that Larry O'Brien trophy up for the first time together, which I'll definitely be happy for. But when they do it, if they do it in the next game, which is on Friday, then obviously I'll come on a video and I'll say I'm wrong. But that's why I chose Dallas, because I just didn't trust Tatum and Brown. But if they win game four, or if Dallas extends it to five, then obviously I was wrong. And I really want to sit up here and say that in the next game, Tatum will be able to mix it up. But if you're getting these W's with the way you've been playing, would you change it up? Tatum and the Boston Celtics, they've been just on a 3 point palooza, man. Like, I feel like most of the game I was watching, I was watching them take 3 pointers. It was like a 3 point shot, or if it was at the rim, like I said earlier in the video. And that's not really pleasing to see. Me personally, I just want to see my players mix it up, go to the rim, mid-range three-pointer, all of that. So again, it's kind of hard to hope Jason Tatum is going to mix up his game and try to get his points in different ways in game four to close up the series when you're winning the games either way. So we'll see what happens, man. But game four is on Friday. We'll see if Boston has that killer mentality. and they're able to close it up in four. And if they are able to close it up in four, I'll be super glad for Tatum and Brown. I actually didn't think that they were going to be able to win a championship together with the amount of times that they made deep playoff runs. I was actually one of the people that said that they needed to break it up. Maybe it was like 2, 3 seasons ago, but it looks like they're going to prove me wrong. And again, this just reminds me of how much it sucks that the Knicks were injured. Always gonna bring it back to the Knicks. We were decimated by injuries, and then I mean, the last thing I'll say is again, it looks like Boston's gonna win this championship, but I hate to say it, man. Let's take a look at the Boston Celtics run to the NBA Finals. First round, they had Miami without a Jimmy Butler. They had a Miami without Terry Rozier. I mean, Miami was able to win one game, which was surprising, but Boston won in five. The next round, they had Cleveland. The Boston won in 5 games. Donovan Mitchell missed the last game or two, I believe, with a messed up calf. Evan Mobley is still not the player that he needs to be. Jarrett Allen was hurt with a rib injury. And then the round after that, they ended up playing Indiana, who swept them in four. And Indiana wasn't even supposed to be there, but Indiana was able to play a hurt Milwaukee. They were able to play a super hurt New York Knicks. And then Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals going up right now against Dallas, which I thought was going to be the real true opponent, the real true challenger. And we were going to be able to see Boston being put up in a corner. But it looks like Boston's going to be able to make easy work of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and the Dallas Mavericks. So again, congratulations. It looks like to Boston. It looks like they're going to win in game four. So again, 2 claps for Boston. But we also gotta, we gotta be a little realistic with the run that they had. Come on, man. Come on, come on. But guys, that's it for today's episode. I want to say thank you so much for checking it out. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, stop what you're doing, hit that thumbs up, and definitely subscribe to the channel. That'll be a huge help. And just a heads up, game four reaction, I might not drop right away on Friday night. It might be Saturday or Sunday or a couple of days after. So, but make sure to stay tuned because I will be dropping a reaction podcast episode. But guys, that's it. I'll check you out in the next episode. Peace.